takadin te ta dha takadin te ta dhagin thari kita takita din tatak dari kita kuputa din tatak kita din te ta dhagre te ta takita din takara takade dha dha na dhan te kadradhe.
Thank you and welcome to the Shawngram Institute for Performance and Social Justice. My name is Ananya Chatterjee. I'm one of the co-leaders of the Institute. And there are many people here today who have planned this event today. We are here to uphold the tremendous legacy of Babasaheb Bhimrao Ambedkar. Traditionally, tomorrow, April 14th, is when Ambedkar Jayanti is celebrated, but we are here a day in advance because we wanted to make sure that Minnesota weather does not play games with us. So here we are, but also here we are so you can maybe look into other events happening around the world on this day. This is the first of 5 MICHHIL processions that we are using these live processions with our friends and community members as a scaffolding for the work we are building together. The name of the work is MICHHIL AMRA. We are the procession. So today is the first. We begin by celebrating Ambedkar Jayanti, and then each of the following processions will connect into different liberation struggles. So May 25th, watch out, we will share information. May 25th, June 30th, August 10th, September 7th, building up finally to our premiere of the work on September 22nd, 23rd. What else should I say? I'm going to begin by inviting you to join in with our pranam, the salutation to Dakota and Ojibwe lands. And please feel free to witness, and those of you who know it, please join us. We take 6 steps to go around. We connect to the sky, to the earth, to our hearts. We hold up this land. We call Minishota Makoche. Connect to each other with love. Zahi, Zahi, Zahi. And Kay is holding up these words. These are Anishinaabe words, Zahi. Together we connect to the earth, mutual love, Zahi Gwyn. And together we say, which we are taught by our Dakota leader, Janice Backmoccasin, means we are all connected. And it is part of connecting the different liberation struggles that we begin today in the spirit of that. I am so excited to introduce to you our presenter for today, Vishal Pratibarti, who is a scholar of anti-caste literature and cinema, and who will take us through introduce us to the tremendous legacy of Babasaheb Ambedkar. Please take a seat, enjoy, and then thereafter we'll take you through the steps that follow. And I was going to do this later, but I want to hold up our tremendous artist in residence, Maestro Douglas Ewart, who celebrates everywhere and who helped us through this time with the sound bath and will help us process all the way to the end. Thank you, Maestro. Yes, please. Is the Alexi, is the mic on? No, it's not on. Is it? It's now. It's not on. The mic is not on.
It just has to go very close to your mouth, unfortunately.
Like a one of the star, like a star.
Okay, can you hear me now? So,
Yes.
just be lowered. Yes, just lower it, please. Like that? Yeah, a little bit lower. Like that. Yeah. This is fine?
Yes.
Okay, so this is my very first time speaking through the mic, so it's good. Okay. So it is, always challenging to introduce the legacy of B.R. Ambedkar in India as well as elsewhere in the world, and it gets a little more challenging to talk to audience who are not aware of caste system. But I am not going to speak directly about caste or caste system. I'm going to begin right from the contemporary, from where we stand, and from there we will try to see what we understand by B.R. Ambedkar's legacy and Ambedkar Jayanti. So before I start speaking, I have one like a 5 minutes video of a recent violence that took place in Uttar Pradesh in 2017, not very recent, but 2017. And the violence was about and around Ambedkar Jayanti, and and it kind of shows, what is the significance of Ambedkar Jayanti, Ambedkar's birthday in contemporary India, and uh, and how it is inextricably connected with, political violence as well as political emancipation. So let's watch this video and then I'm going to read out. And then if you have any questions, I'm sure you will have, you will ask me so that we kind of end with a little bit of a question and answer round. Okay? Okay. Oh, 1 second. Try again? Yeah. I don't know why Sorry, everyone. It's okay. We're having a technical moment. I prefer. No worries. We'll try one more thing. We looked at playback speed. No. No. We're going to switch laptops.
महाराणा प्रताप जिंदाबाद, महाराणा प्रताप जिंदाबाद, भीमराव डॉक्टर अम्बेडकर मुर्दाबाद।
belonging to the Dalit community were charred down.
मतलब विधानसभा बनी के तस्वीर के अंदर मंदिर में तस्वीर को उन्होंने विशाल करा, उसे फोड़ी और नीचे गिरा दिया। उन्होंने सर में ये आग लगाई गाड़ी में, ये गाड़ी फोड़ी है। जैसे उन्होंने ये पत्थर वगैरह लिपने ना, वैसे हम लोग वापस उनको
महिलाओं ने कौन लोग थे? गांव के लोग थे जो जला रहे थे या
गांव के भी कुछ है जी।
अच्छा,
और बाहर के भी,
बाहर के बहुत लोग थे। बुलाया था लाइट ठाकुर को बहुत लोग।
मेरा लात मारी थी बहुत लोग।
जब तक सारे लोग आए केवल और केवल 2 थाने की पुलिस थी, यानी कुल मिलाकर के पुलिस कर्मियों की संख्या 7 से 8 आदि क्राउड जब दिमाग में जब से 1,500
आपने वर्दी में देखा था?
वर्दी मत जी,
पुलिस साथ में थी उनके। पुलिस ने खुद खड़ा होकर आग लगवाई। पूर्व दान महेशपुर के खुद साथ में थे, उन्होंने खुद लगवाई है।
उस ह्यूमर पर 3 से 4 लोगों की हत्या हो गई है, गोली चली है, जो कि एक अफवाह थी, सच्चाई इसमें कोई नहीं थी। इस अफवाह पर लोगों ने वहाँ पर जो घरों के बाहर विशेष करके भूसे रखने के स्थान थे, साथ ही बिटोरे थे जो कि गोबर के बनते हैं, उन सब में आगजनी करनी शुरू कर दी। इसी क्रम में कुछ घरों में छप्पर भी जले और कुछ बाइकें भी जो घर के बाहर या अहाते में खड़ी थी वो भी जलाई गई।
सड़क पे जो है पत्थर लगा, ईंट लगी तो गिर गया, बेहोश हो गया। वो अंदर खींच गया, फिर उसने जो है ऊपर दबा दिया।
किसने दबाया?
भाई वही तो दलित समाज के लोग। हम वहाँ को आगे गया, वो आगे जाने के बाद उसने जो है दलित मारा, मारने के बाद अपने घर में आग लगा दी। उनको राजपूत समाज के सौंप दिया। अभी राजपूत समाज ने आग लगाई मारे में।
उन्होंने मल्लीपुर में महाराणा प्रताप का वो आवाज वहां भी तोड़ दिया भवन सा, और उसकी वजह चंद्रशेखर है, उसने वीडियो बना के रहा है कि हम किसी से डर रहे, जो बात है आ जाए।
I think I have no idea where is he, but I will repeat. Whenever I need any inquiry, I need any comment, you can call me. बिल्कुल सोशल मीडिया सर्विलांस भी इसमें से एक है, बिकॉज सोशल मीडिया पर ऑर्गेनाइज वे में इस प्रकार के कार्यक्रम करने की अपील की जा रही थी और डिस्टर्ब करने का प्रयास किया जा रहा है।
In 1891 to a Dalit family in Maharashtra. As his father was an instructor in a military school, he was raised to be educated. Although this was quite uncommon for Dalit families at that time, Ambedkar managed to get a good education, earning a graduate degree in economics from Elphinstone College, Mumbai, and an MA and PhD from Columbia University. Later, when he went to the London School of Economics, he wrote another dissertation on the problem of the rupee, its origins and its solutions. Finally, he was called to the bar at Gray's Inn, London in 1922, and he returned to India in 1929 to become a professor of law college, Bombay. At the end of the Indian independence movement, he became the draftsman of the Indian Constitution and was instrumental in including laws against untouchability activism in 1956, shortly before his death, B.R. Ambedkar not only remains the most important anti-caste intellectual of India, but has become some sort of a moral example for Dalits in particular in India, perceived in their strong desire for education, political participation, and rejection of Hinduism through conversion. At the beginning, Ambedkar's anti-caste activism was mainly social. He founded a welfare organization called Bahushkrit Hitakarani Sabha in 1924, which is translated as Assembly for the Welfare of the Excluded. And the title of today's presentation is derived from that. In 1927, he led the now famous Mahar Satyagraha or non-violent resistance to assert the right of the Dalits to have access to wells and tanks used by all. The battle for equality and equal access to space. It was won by openly defying the laws that prevented Dalits from drinking water from a public tank. Secondly, this was also a popular and collective protest. Anand Tentubne's account of Mahat Satyagraha reveals Ambedkar's conflict with the British government on the nature of the constituency of the public. Initially, when the Dalits demanded that the public spaces be open to them, the government responded by saying that it is in the jurisdiction of the elected representatives of the public. But Ambedkar asked if the notion of the public was to be defined by its representatives alone and their opinions alone. If the public was made to include the people, it could not is all about Ambedkar. But this moment shows that what Ambedkar stood for was the participation of an excluded collective rather than an excluded individual. The two pamphlets that were circulated by the, and I will show the next one also, the two pamphlets that were circulated by the Bhavishwar Hitakarani Sabha attest to the labor that has gone into building this resistance collective who forced their way into hitherto barricaded spaces. The first pamphlet by the secretary of the Satyagraha collective urges its readers to enlist their names, be prepared for every possibility, and also mark themselves out visually. The desired effect of this organized resistance of the blot of untouchability put by caste in the society and its tradition. Finally, this was an anti-untouchability protest that was markedly different from the Gandhian reformism because Mahat Satyagraha put the Dalits and traditional caste Hindus in opposite camps in open confrontation. On the other hand, the more Gandhian moral reformism created a tradition of relationship of compassionate patronage alone. It can be said that in contemporary India, Ambedkar Jayanti or the birthday of Ambedkar reiterates this episode of collective participation of the excluded, including the conflicts it generated. However, the celebrations have much more personal stakes than before, with Ambedkar becoming an inspiration for Dalit self-formation in contemporary India. Swati Kamble, Jayanti becomes an occasion for getting to know and sustain a critical tradition. In an age of increasing backlash against Dalits, celebrating Ambedkar becomes a way of affirming oneself and to situate oneself in relationship to the social and political history of the country. The contemporary art historian Aman M. Lynch writes about Ambedkar Jayanti celebration in Uttar Pradesh. This is a state that is not only noted for the most number of atrocities against Dalits, but also electing India's first Dalit woman as the chief minister. He offers an interesting reading of Ambedkar fairs or Ambedkar Mela in Uttar Pradesh. The Jathak community of Dalits used to celebrate Kan's fair, the killing of the wicked Kans, the uncle of Krishna. In 1957, after Ambedkar's death, Dalits repressed Kans fair with Ambedkar Jayanti. This celebration marked the public rejection of a Hindu festival and the embrace of new ideals. In such melas, Dalits would put reworked images of gods like Krishna or Shiva by displacing them with that of Ambedkar's image. In these reworkings of religious images, two opposite worlds are juxtaposed: the religious world of Hindu gods and the world of education and rights, represented by Ambedkar's image with the Indian constitution in his hand. Soon this fair burst out of its locality and took the form of a procession. Like most processions in India, Ambedkarite processions have also invited censure, conflict, and violence. And we saw that in that video. Owen writes that Ambedkarites would often include an elephant in the procession. This was a way of reworking through traditional religious symbols and subverting their accepted connotations. The elephant is not just another animal, but has a mythological associations with the god Indra, the king of heaven. On one occasion, when the white elephant with Ambedkar's image was made to walk around Lucknow, the residents in the upper caste neighborhoods threw stones on the procession from their rooftops. This violence was used by the dominant caste to demand an official change of route of the annual procession. This led to protests by Dalits against the government, leading to hundreds of arrests and 10 deaths. The army had to be called in to restore peace and order. In recent times, clashes over Ambedkar Jayanti have risen, especially when it is held publicly, especially in BJP-dominated states. In Saharanpur, Uttar Pradesh, for instance, in 2017, when Dalits proposed the erection of a statue of Ambedkar, it was met with hostility by the dominant caste, leading to clashes between the two communities. Rajesh Komat writes that erecting statues of Ambedkar in villages becomes a way for Dalits to assert their needs and wants. Pushing the Dalits to the margins in the village and marking them as dirty, dominant castes have often seen this spatial politics as corruption of the public spaces. In such a context, celebrating Ambedkar Jayanti registers the emergence of emotions of anger, pride, hatred, and fear. Often met with hostility and suspicion, Ambedkar Jayanti remains one of the key forces in staging interruptions in the everyday function of caste sociality. Not limiting itself to the staging of opposition alone, the celebration of Ambedkar Jayanti becomes a way of creating spaces of joy, care, and resilience for Dalit communities. The painting by Vikram Vise does not represent the conflicts or brutal violence that accompanies the celebration of Ambedkar Jayanti. Instead, it shows a group of women sitting with each other around Ambedkar's bust. Clearly, it is not the person Ambedkar that is important here. Instead, it is his public image and presence that is adored. Although the women are surrounding the bust, the women are not looking at it. Instead, they are looking and speaking at each other.
So hopefully we have really listened, and all what that Drisha has shared will become part of our work as we move into the procession. Yeah. Kia is going to share the logistics of the process. Oh, a quick question. Or we want some quick questions and thoughts, please, for Drisha. Yes, please, I will.
I just want to thank you really for the education and all the writing and just that trying to succinctly give us a lot of information in such a short. I really appreciate it. I don't have any questions, but I just appreciate the continuous learning through this process.
And maybe more thoughts will come up as we are walking. It's a lot of learning for a lot of people. people. So it's fabulous. Thank you, Trisha. Yes, please.
So yesterday we were working on the naming of this, and we started to research the QR code that everyone now has access to, and it shocked me how things are still happening like around the world, and things that for me are unnamed, as the case of this specific person. And also, I found these similitudes with my country, in this case Mexico, which, yeah, is also unnamed stuff that are happening. And I feel like, for me, it's an inspiration seeing you sharing this in this country, educating and passing with no filters, I guess. Sugarcoating, they call it here. So thank you for doing it, because it's an inspiration, at least for me now, to like do it the same. Because that's the only way we will be able to like connect as humans and preserving our roots and our origins and honor. So thank you very much for that. Divya, do you have something?
Yes.
You have talked about how the processions take place on the way to Jayanti and art that is used in those processions, and certainly the violence that is encountered. I wondered if you could speak about any processions that take place in the US that you may be aware of, how Jayanti is celebrated in the US. Just
Sorry.
No, I don't know of any processions that take place in the US. But I think there are students in different universities who organize talks and lecture series, and they invite speakers, so that happens. And I think then there are like some collectives who do that work, but I'm not aware of processions.
Thank you so much, Risha. Appreciate it.
I'm going to ad-lib a little bit based off of this amazing presentation, and also feeling the resonance of Uncle Douglas's sound bath and Maestro Douglas's sound bath, in addition to the legacy that was just shared of Babasaheb Bhimrao. So if we could take our hands, maybe, and just take a deep breath in and activate the palm of our hands. Exhale. Maybe your eyes are closed. With your breath, as you inhale, tap into where you're feeling the legacy of these stories resonate in your body. And on your next exhale, maybe use your hands and scan or touch where you feel that legacy moving in you. Does it have a particular frequency, a rate of movement, a sensation of movement? Just note for yourself. What does that legacy feel like in vibration? And then maybe if we could take our hands and try to mimic that vibration that you were sensing. And if you need to keep your eyes closed, you can keep your eyes closed, that's fine too. How would you move your hands and your fingertips to visually mimic and can we let it get a little bit bigger and maybe open our eyes if you feel comfortable to notice notice how that legacy is moving through the room. And I learned that one of the maybe rallying calls of Babasaheb Bhimrao was educate, agitate, organize. So if we could all just say with the movement of our hands, educate, agitate, organize. Again, educate, agitate, organize. One last time. Educate, agitate, organize. And if we could finish by maybe taking our hands to where we're holding that name. All right, we will move on to the logistics of our route. So this is a little map of the route that we will take together. It's going to start by going out the door, and we're going to go up toward the Goodwill. Just a little bit past the Goodwill parking lot will be kind of the site where the old Bole Ethiopian restaurant used to be, and which the building of that place was burned down during the uprising. We're going to gather at that site, and if we could gather in a circle collectively, that'd be great. And Ananya and maybe Trisha will say a few words, and maybe we will agitate that area. We educated ourselves here. We'll agitate at that site. And then we're going to come down Gordon Parks High School, right here, the brick building, and up to the Midway Peace Park. And at the top of the hill, there's a pavilion. We will be there, and Lychee and Marcus will also lead us through a way to incorporate and maybe organize ourselves. And now I'd like to invite our processional coordinator, Phoebe West. Yay, Phoebe, who will share more about safety.
Okay, so there's like 5 rules. The first one is stay on sidewalks for safety. Don't litter, that should not be a problem. Obey the traffic signals, and stay together in a group. So try not to leave people behind. I'm going to be the first person into every intersection, including the Goodwill parking lot intersection. I'll be the last person out. So if I'm not there in the intersection, just wait for me. And not to stress people out, but you have 25 seconds to cross University Avenue when the light turns green. So proceed with efficiency across that street.
Let's invite Lychee Yang, the amazing designer for today, to tell us quickly about the event.
Wonderful materials.
So while Lychee is getting herself ready, will you just make sure you can open, because you might want to do some gestural stuff. So open your palms wide, lift your shoulders, give them a nice round. So if you want, you can raise your palms, you can make your fists, and remember what is needed. Maybe shake your hips if you're sitting. Make sure your sits full. And just take a minute to invite in some energy, exhale out some energy. And here we go, Lychee.
Everyone, I was asked to create some props, but they're, also the meaning and symbolization of these items are, I think, way beyond props. But if you think about Procession, it is kind of a performance of social justice, and we're going to be out here performing today. And these props were made out of a collaboration between me, Ananya Marcus, and the artist of Ananya Dance Theater. And they were derived and drawn from me knowing the little context of Dalit liberation that I know, and thinking about public space and how to commemorate this movement and these people and hold them in a dignified way. And so I was looking at the landscapes of processions, funerary, just all kinds. And so interesting that a lot of you all are wearing their names like graduation procession, which was something I didn't think was going to happen. I was thinking they would be more like tied around her body parts, but it's kind of also revealing itself, this idea of procession. But there's also kind of this idea of symbolism and utilitarian, and so this is inspired by a stretcher, a device that you carry people who have transitioned on, but then it also works as a ladder, and then this. So I think we're still going by groups, right? We will be.
The groups, but we will connect with groups.
We will connect with groups who will be kind of in charge of each prop. So here's the ladder structure, and then also an umbrella, defamiliarizing this thing that could come off as casteist or classes, but how do we make it redefine its meaning and make it ceremonial? And then also Phoebe will be holding that flag, so Phoebe will be in the front, and if you get lost, look for that flag that has an image of Ambedkar right there. And then, yeah, so that's the inspiration, and really how do we hold and how do we carry the names of these people that we want to lift today is the intention. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dalit. Here, will you please elaborate the names of for people in groups so we can, group leaders, will you please come forward?
Okay, everyone. So some of you have the privilege of learning your group number, and many of you don't. So that's okay. We're going to go over that together. And this is just a way to maybe disperse ourselves among the line of the procession, and also as a way, before we head out the door, for you to engage with and take a moment to familiarize yourself with the materials that Baichi created, and maybe think about ways that you want to hold or volunteer to carry or attach yourself to the materials. So let me know if I did not say your name. So Ego, you'll be in group 1 with the umbrella, and that's me. So Kaya's group is group number 1. Or you're with Lizette in group number 2. Asha, you are with Carisha in group number 4. Yes, artists, please raise your hands very, very widely. Don't hide, Carisha. And then Sharita, you're with Lizette in group number 2. Esther, you're with Carisha in group number 4. Lou, you're with Noelle in group number 3. Christine King, you are with Lizette in group number 2. Bobby, you're with Noelle in group number 3. Eleanor, you're with Carisha in group number 4. Drisha, you're with me in group number 1. Sage, you're with me in group number 1. Gina is not here. Slim is not here. Jit. Sandra, is Sandra here? Okay, sounds good. Divya, you're with Noelle in group number 3. Bhavana, is Bhavana here? Yeah. Hi, you are with Lizette in group number 2. Tree, you are with Harisha in group number 4. Amira, okay. Deborah McKee, you're with me in group number 1. Lauren Christensen, Lauren, hi, you're with Lizette in group number 2. Opposite, sorry. Brittany, is Brittany here? Hi, you're with me in group number 1. Javi, you're with Noel in group number 3. Hui, you're with Lizette in group number 2. Caitlin, you're with Noel in group number 3. Is there anyone that doesn't have a specified group? Okay, perfect. Let's find the artists for just a moment, and if like Lizette, if you could go to a corner, please.
Hi.
Comfortable holding it. It's nice to tap, but maybe we can move it around and we
Melly?
Gestures that maybe y'all would like to do as we're walking.
All the names. And then maybe we should say these names too. So
I'm carrying
Rohit Vemula.
I'm carrying her name Hatras. Hatras I think is the
Would you all like to interact with the ladder or like just touch it? It's very, very light. Any other ideas coming to your head as we're doing that? I think if I remember correctly, we're the last processional. So we're kind of behind everybody, and that felt really good.
it was not substantial. Although we believe in the bullet rather than the ballot. But that is not everything that they did. They also built hospitals.
Yeah.
He was one of the leads.
Wow.
Also on the 14th of February.
So, or at least, you know, when people are trying to take a stand for their own rights, how they feel is expressed very, very. It's coming from like officials, I guess they're actively saying it, actively denouncing people and their opinions, and saying, oh no, there's a couple of us that can solve that. That's not how it works right now, and it's just like the intensity of that violence, along with, you know, coupled with the fact that the shooters are often standing by Phenomenal pastors here, but people can see the world and experience other worlds.
Time together, getting time together.
Thank you, time together. Maybe as we think about this, how we carry these people with us.
And I think maybe we put this down for a moment and then we come back to it.
I think if you're ready to come outside, come on.
Ready, Mel?
Yes.
Friends, we should be finishing our procession at the Midway Peace Plaza, so we might not come back unless you have specifically left something here. Grab a snack on your way out if you want.
Are you going to give us a parade order?
The banner goes out first, speakers first, banner group second. Umbrella group third. Umbrella one. Umbrella two. The ladder group brings up the rear. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, my shoes are over here.
Ladder group coming out. Marcus.
So good to see you back.
Maybe it's the sun.
hear me now?
Yes!
Okay, so this is one thought that struck me, as we were walking and holding our, like different props here, and I have spoken this to some of the people here. It is that, since we are like trying to make connections between, movements that are like that strive for liberation from oppression, from exploitation, from exclusion. We also like, as we carry those movements, as we participate those movements, carrying something, holding something, bearing the burden of something, be it memory, be it the sense of loss, or be it the sense of legacy, becomes so important. And I was just, just thinking of this kind of inextricable connection between liberation and holding on to something and bearing the burden of something. And I don't know, I don't have any like answers to it, but I was just thinking that how these two are inextricably connected to each other, like bearing the burden and liberation. And somewhere maybe like like if we could come up with what that bearing the burden or bearing the burden, or as well as bearing the legacy of the movement is, then I think that would be like helpful. And if you could contribute and think about it, that how you think about the relationship between liberation and bearing the burden of something is, then it would be, yeah, it would be great.
Yeah.
So maybe can we pass this mic on to other people?
We keep a mic. Now we just do a gesture. So just in keeping with the directive that Drisha has given us, and especially as we stand at the site of the old Bole, if we can remember the connections between the Dalit Liberation Movement and the Black Lives Matter movement, if you can all take this idea, I'm going to offer a gesture, and then please remember what Drisha has told us. So there's a moment to reflect later on when we arrive at our final destination. If for a moment we can all maybe share a gesture, I'll offer something, you can follow along or do your own gesture. So the idea of taking something that is on our back, something that is a burden, we bring the twin streams of liberation together. Let's do that again. Taking something that's on our backs, lifting it up and bringing it together. One last time, bringing something that is on our back, take it, we lift the movement up together. And from here, we will continue on the next part of our journey. So, Phoebe, starting us out, please. And Maestro will take us going on banner, followed by banner, followed by umbrella one. Maestro, for reminding us of the power of breath hold. MICHHIL.
I'm gonna now invite the ladder group to enter the center of the circle. And as we close this beautiful procession, I want to share with you all that these props that we worked with today, that we imbued our energy with, that we uplifted, that we shared solidarity and energy with, they're going to be part of the show, the MICHHIL AMRA show at the end of September this year, as well as all of the other things that we will be having throughout the rest of our upcoming processions. And so part of the theme of this year's show, hello! Please join us. You're welcome to come listen and join us. Today we're celebrating a big part of Jayanti. It's a celebration to uplift and we'd like to Dalit Liberation.
Hey Don, bro, why are there so many cuts here, bro? It's, do you know the Constitution, right? Yeah. So he's the one who wrote the Constitution of India. It's his birth anniversary, that is April 14th, but it's in India, so we are celebrating. It's already April 14th in India, so we are kind of celebrating his work. And he's so important because he wrote the Constitution and he worked for the underprivileged communities and castes. He died? Yeah, he died. What? When did he die? 1956.
Yes. And so as a gesture to honor this moment of collective knowledge and collective holding of history, please take your either your fabric piece or your paper card, whatever you're holding onto, and we're going to have the ladder group hold this ladder however they want to. Please say the name of the person who you're holding the burden of today as you attach it to the ladder. You can just tie it in a very simple knot, and then it'll be held with us throughout the rest of the show and the process. So thank you, everybody. You're welcome to come at your own pace.
Say the name out loud so maybe Gwen can demonstrate.
Okay.
Tenmori Saundara Rajan. Maestro, will you offer us some sound as we tie these names?
Sure.
Thank you.
Take your place.
Babasaheb Bhimrao Ambedkar.
Meghnad Shaha. Feel free to give the names, speak the names loudly, and give them breath energy.
Nina Kandasam.
Friends, thank you so much for this collective action. And I want to remind us of what Babasaheb's most important and famous directed to us: educate. Thank you, Drisha, for the education and the agitation to hold both the burden and to celebrate and lift up. And lastly, we are here and organized. So, in response, remember tomorrow is Ambedkar Jayanti in other parts of the world. Please continue to research the names, continue to research this movement. The caste violence is a terrible, terrible abomination that continues to live. And for all of us, if we can remember to hold up the liberation struggle and the need for justice underneath it, the movement gathers force with all of us. I want to share the megaphone. If you would please offer any reflections about your experience and thoughts, and then to close with a song directed by Maestro Douglas Ewart. Reflections, friends.
Hello.
Hello.
The wind is reminding me that when we hold and uphold names of injustices and violences, we allow them to fly above us like birds, the freedom of a bird. So the wind reminds me to hold and let fly.
Yay! It's on.
Hello.
Hello.
The person's name that I held today, I'm going to try my best. Tapali.
Yes.
Thank you. He was incarcerated, and when he was incarcerated, he taught himself how to read. And that to me reminded me of freedom beyond bars. Even if you're behind bars, even if people are telling you you're not free, you can free yourself within your mind. That was very powerful to me.
Thank you.
My reflection goes to the
prompt we were holding. Closer. Okay. My reflection goes to the prompt we were holding. It just reminds me of how certain people don't have the privilege to be on a stretcher or to be carried by a group of people to be honored during their last day or their death, but also they can be honored through the carrying of their families as they experience those violences, especially for women who are, in those circumstances where they're not like held by upper, people who authority was supposed to help them. So it's just a reflection of that we don't have so much a privilege, but also we are honored through our own communities or our own families as well. Thank you, Rita.
As we were processing from the Institute to the site of the restaurant, we passed by a bench that looked like it had been toppled over by a car, and it made me really start thinking about the connections between different kinds of violence, different kinds of struggle that we've been invited to think about. And I thought about cars and the violence that they represent in our society in that sort of way, crashing into things, pollution. And as we walked onto the burnt out tiles of the restaurant, it became clear again. And I thought about thinking about cars as a source of violence, thought about gun violence that we've been seeing recently. It very much brought to mind the Tennessee 2. And I just, and as we walked back past, I noticed that the people in the procession behind my group had set the bench back upright. And it just, all of those connections, and then seeing that little bit of repairing something made me smile so much.
Thank you.
I'm just reminded of how liberation brings us all together, no matter what our particular path is or journey is through liberation, that we can all come together in beautiful ways. And thank you, Ananya, and everyone involved here for this opportunity.
Thank you. The first thing I was thinking is about, can you hear me now? Okay, here, okay. No, I'm scared to talk. But yeah, so the first thought was like how liberating oneself leads to liberation of a community. And that is what any of our revolutionaries, including Ambedkar, has done for himself and for the community. So that is one thing, and we are here because as an individual we are in the process of liberating ourselves through education, through agitation, and here with organization. So that is one thing. And second is it reminded me of back home where we were protesting, we were, the processions that we used to take and how different it is from here. So there was one procession that I fondly remember. It is of my uncle's. It was very liberating for me, and I had to cry after, in that procession, is because it is filled with a lot of anger and pain, right? And there are like different types of healing techniques, because I'm now focusing on healing kind of thing. So there are different types of healing techniques, what we have seen, before we started this procession. And what procession was in India, like in India, where when we organize, when we gather, we do a lot of, what do you call? Yeah. So, and lifting our fist high up to the sky, and that gives so much energy and strength to ourselves, and also like hailing the persons that we are walking towards for, and it also gives a sense of belonging in there, and also togetherness as a community, and how community is important. Like there is no borders, of course, and also like the next thing is like revolution is an ode of love. it's allowed. That is why we are revolting. So yeah, I guess.
Any other reflections?
I can say something.
Please, Millie.
Hola? See? Just what happened with the kids. What? Hello? Yes. Okay. So just what happened with the kids coming here, it's exactly, or it felt like a replica of the, ¿cómo era? Agitation, education, agitation, organizing. And it also reminds me that the responsibility that we bear as adults to pass information to the kids despite what the schools are teaching. And then we as a community, in whatever we are doing, we have that responsibility. So, and despite if we have kids or not as well. So it's just that reminder, and I really appreciate like the person who was there allowed the curiosity on. Then I really don't understand what they say because they speak too fast for me. But I'm pretty sure, something was something. They will talk about that. Thank you.
Hello. Hello. Closer. Yes. So. Okay. So something that really resonated for me was as we're processing, we're walking into the sunlight. As we're processing, we're walking into the sunlight, and really feeling the warmth of the sun as we're holding up these names, as we're sitting with this legacy and with this history, and then also moving away from the sun, and then as we're standing here, the sun setting on us. There's something in that to me about cycles, about transformation in a sense. Yeah, I'm not really sure where the sun is taking me, but there was something about the sun and its way of receiving us that felt really powerful.
Thank you. Asha.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. The idea of breath is kind of coming to mind right now. I felt like hearing the education section, my throat was choked up. I felt like my throat chakra was just like, and I feel like I hold a lot of things in. I feel that a lot of the times procession is the answer, right? And I feel like a lot of people don't take that opportunity. But doing this with the wind, the idea of breath in different ways, the lovely children that give a breath of fresh air, it definitely feels like a release. Meeting new people has been amazing. Even the banner flowing in the wind, all of our names, the names that we were holding, flowing in the wind to echo what Noelle said. It just feels like a huge release. So, yes, thank you for holding this.
Thank you, Asha. Any other thoughts? Divya, yay! Somebody better! No. Speak yours.
How about this?
More.
How about this?
Yeah.
Oh. So, two thoughts. One is all right.
Yes.
So, got it.
Okay.
Two thoughts. One is that liberation is never complete. So, responding to what Drisha wanted us to think about liberation and how, what burden it comes with. I just wanted to say that burden is always there to educate oneself about oppressions that we may not know very much about. So be aware, be watchful of oppressions around you, educate yourself of what's happening around you, and just calling for educate, agitate, organize. The other thought I have is what happened with the kids. It was so beautiful for them to come with curiosity, asking questions, and this is the purpose of any protest, any procession, that you make something visible. Uh, uh, Encourage curiosity about a topic, and it's also a great demonstration. They didn't join us, so there is curiosity. You have made something visible, but not everyone will join you. Just two things.
Thank you, Divya. Risha, will you bring us home?
Yeah, so since, can you hear me?
No.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Closer.
So, okay. So as Divya just said, that liberation is never complete, and sometimes it is impossible to separate liberation from the burden of educating ourselves, about oppression and about movements that seek liberation. So, and as this wonderful thing happened today, which was totally unexpected. These kids coming in and trying to find out who Ambedkar was, and then not understanding it, and kids being kids, they just left us. But I think this is something so powerful about a protest, that it can not only that we speak so much about organization, but protests can also lead to moments of this disorganization, if I can use the word, which can be useful, which can be so pedagogically so useful, and it can help us think through our processes through which we learn things, learn about the world, and how we need to do much more than what we are doing right now. So they can be these moments can be very humbling as well as educative for us. So I think that today I had the best day because because of these kids, they kind of made us successful in our own way, even though we couldn't keep them with us. But I think this was a really wonderful gift. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Disha.
Thank you, Disha.
It's great. No, I don't need that. It's great to be here, to rally together. I remember, well, there are a couple of things I wanted to just mention quickly. A friend of mine gives a program, and she calls it Free from Freedom. And I thought about the same thing with Free from Liberation. Of course, we know that progress is never permanent. It's a fire that we have to continually stoke, especially in the climate that we live in terms of the spiritual, the mental, and the emotional climate that we live in, where we have sayings that make no sense to me. One of them is, you go to school to get a schooling. You get your education from home and your community. We conflate those things. And if you look at the universities and so on, those are some of the most unprincipled institutions you can look at. So I want you to I want you to start thinking about not conflating the two. They say one small wind can raise much dust, and sometimes you see a whirlwind and it kicks up things and it spreads them everywhere. I think we're that small wind that have to keep the acceleration of change and to speak out. Sometimes silence is speaking out, but sometimes we have to scream it out too. Uh, we can't expect progress without being vulnerable. So, because we got to where we are because other people made a big sacrifice to make it possible. I'm wearing this coat and it has many names on it. I found it as a great vehicle. I have many coats painted, some by me and by other artists, as moving, living art that you can see, and it is calling the names of the people, and hopefully it will make people curious about people like Dolores Huerta, Lozan, the great Apache warrior. You know, these people really fought and lived for I won't say they died, they lived because they continue to live sometimes after centuries. I wanted to end with the power of song. You know, when you can't talk sometimes about somebody, you can sing about them. And it could be, you know, that's what calypso originated as. It was also a work song, but it was also a way that you could hurl insults at your masters, and the rhythm and the melody made it palatable. So you could even insult somebody who would not, if you'd spoken to them, you would probably be dead, but you could sing it and get away with it. So I want you to think about that and to think about how many movements and the importance of sound, because that's what we are. We are sound. Progress is never permanent. It has to be a recurring thought, your recurring decimal, and therefore you're always planting. I won't say fighting for, you're always planting. You can plant it without a fight. You know, sometimes the biggest fight is not to have a fight. Sometimes quarreling with somebody is not the way to go. And so we're going to do this song. It says, I'll sing and then you'll respond. It says, a body without a head ain't no good.
A body without a head ain't no good.
A tree without roots can't be wood.
A tree without roots can't be wood.
Us, we, together we shine.
Us,
come on, y'all.
Together we shine.
Us, we, together we shine.
Us, we, together we shine.
Doing just your thing ain't none of mine.
Doing just your thing ain't none of mine.
A body without a head can't be good.
A body without a head can't be good.
A tree without roots, you know it can't be wood.
A tree without roots can't be wood.
Us, we, together we shine.
Us, we, together we shine.
Oh, yes, we, together we shine.
Us, 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 we, together we shine.
A body without a head, you know it can't be good.
A body without a head, you know it can't be good.
A tree without roots can't be wood.
A tree without roots can't be good.
Oh, us, we, together we shine.
Us, we, together we shine.
Oh, us, we, together we shine.
Us, we, together we shine. Us, we, together we shine.
Thank you, Michael. I'm going to invite us to just join in our ending pranam with great
thanks to all of you who have joined us. 6 steps to go around. Connecting to the sky, to the earth, to our heart. Holding up this land, meaning Shawngram, Makoche. Connecting to the circle of love, Zagi, 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 Zagi. To this earth of mutual love, Zagi Twin. And affirming our relationality. Vitakuye Oase. Vitakuye Oase. Thank you. Laji, you want to tell us what you have in?
Dhei, dhei, ta dhagin ta thariki ta jam. Dhei, dhei, ta dhagin ta thariki ta jam. Dhan, dhan, ta, tum ta tin ta te, ta. Re, pa janam ta ka janam ta te. Dhage te ta kita drim ta tari jam ta. Dhage te ta kita drim ta tari jam ta. Re ke ta janam ta ka janam ta te. Dhage te ta kita drim ta tari jam ta. Kartkadhei.